What is up, my friends? Welcome to the Crypto Junkie channel. It's been a long time since we've been on this channel. It's been a long time since we've been live, actually. So I'm a bit out of practice. It's been a couple years since we've been live. So thank you so much for tuning in. I know that there's a lot of people coming over from the Hex community. We're going to be bringing on KNTX here in just a couple minutes, and we're going to be talking about the conversation that really we should be talking about, right? There's a lot of dialogue that we should be having right now within the crypto space, and it's just not happening at a big enough scale. And thankfully, there are projects like Hex, like I guess not many, but a couple others that have allowed now financial freedom for people. And now what we can do is we can start to get the hard stuff done. We can start to have the deep and hard conversations, right? And so if you've been following along with the last 2 or 3 videos, is we basically came out and said, hey, we're going to come back, and this is what we want to do with the channel. And it's really just because just been sitting back and seeing like what's happened. You know, Crypto Junkies is a community that started in 2017. We came in on BitConnect. We came in on USI Tech. We came in on BitClub. We came in on all these things that turned out to be scams, right? The community itself, myself included, all of us lost a massive amount of money, right? And that pain and that suffering spurred a completely different movement that has gotten much smaller, and that community has gotten much smaller, and it's still there, right? Here we are in 2021. And so now what we want to do with Crypto Junkies is like this can be the ethos of something special, right? This can be something really, really huge. And I feel that. And so that's what we want to do with it now. We want to take this in a new direction. We want to start having these conversations that I feel like a lot of people have been avoiding. I feel like a lot of people, you know, call them crypto nerds, whatever you want to call them, that made a bunch of money, that kind of ran off, and now are thinking, oh, okay, well, you know, politics isn't my problem. I don't want to get involved in politics. You know, that's not really my thing. And they think, and they're, I guess, kind of deluding themselves into thinking that if I just pretend that it's not there, it's going to go away. And if I ignore it for a long enough time, then it's going to go away. And I'm here to tell you that it's not. And so these are the conversations, these are the battles that we need to be having, right? We're at the front of it now. And so anyways, let's bring up KNTX, my brother from another mother.
Hey,
Jay. Sharon. Welcome to the show. So, okay.
Thank you, sir.
You guys got to know a little bit about the backstory. Is I'm pretty sure KNTX was one of the first 50 people that joined the Crypto Junkie Discord when we first launched it, which was
possibly
in the very beginning.
First 10, possibly.
I think so, yeah, because I'm going off of the numbering of like our original ranking system. But I mean, like, talk about how special that is for a second. Is, you know, we've had this thing rolling now for 4 years. We've stayed in contact. I would argue that we've gotten closer. We've done a lot of really cool things together. We've got a lot of exciting things for the future. And so now we're here to talk about these tough conversations that we got to have. So I want to kick things off with a video. I literally just found this tonight. I think it's perfect for. I caught some of your guys' show. First off, congratulations on the documentary. That sounds absolutely epic. So any documentary about crypto is going to be huge, right? But a documentary about, by far, one of the most controversial figures that's still around, right? Because let's go back in time here. A lot of the stuff that turned out to actually be scams was gone after about a year. You know, you look at BitConnect, you look at USI Tech, the leaders of USI Tech, actually one of them got caught in Indonesia trying to solicit illegal activities off of somebody that was underage. Put the pieces together yourself. And that's something that, you know, we'll talk about probably much later on in the channel, but there's some really, really bad actors in crypto. I don't know why, but it really attracts some nasty people. And so those people were some of them. And a lot of those projects didn't last, you know, beyond a year. So here we are. I think Hex is coming up on its 2-year anniversary. And so they're getting a documentary done by a 4 or 5-time Emmy winner. And
5-time, yeah.
5-time, there we go. And funded by the community. And so this is exciting. This is exciting stuff because for the crypto space, right? And this is where you'll already start to see people's ideas and biases start to blind them. Because if they're immediately jumping to, oh, but it's about this guy, oh, but it's about this project, they're missing the boat.
Yep.
They're missing the boat. Because it's about onboarding everybody. It's about getting into your grandma's household, your dad's household, right? Your family's household. And it's about like having these conversations about crypto and getting people onboarded into this new reality and into this ecosystem if it's going to make it at all. And there's just way too much division in crypto. And we'll talk about all this. But anyway, so a fun little point for all of you who've been in crypto long enough. We're guilty of this too. I'm guilty of this through 2017 to 2019, having ref links in the bio and shilling people onto exchanges, onto coins. We're getting paid to do reviews. Pretty sure we disclosed most of it. Sometimes we probably didn't, if I'm being completely transparent. And that was years ago. Funny thing is that the government, if they wanted to, would probably still be able to come after me. And so I guess I'll have to see how that turns out for myself. But people think that if they're thinking that they're getting away with something, and I'm going to bring up probably by far the biggest controversial guy here, which is if we want to talk about actually getting caught for doing real fraud, it would be Mr. Jordan Belfort. So let's let him take it away here and give a couple minutes into what he says is going to happen.
Wall Street, right? That doesn't make what I did right. It was still wrong, right? But people know now that Wall Street's a fucked up place. Ironically, what I did go to jail for, what I really went to jail for was smuggling money to Switzerland. But I then played into the stock market manipulation, and that's now legal. Like every single crypto deal is now exactly. I went to jail for what all you guys do every fucking day, and became legal somehow. I must say, I don't know what you guys.
I just want to pause and say really quick, I apologize. We do curse on this show. And if you have children or if you're young and you get offended by cursing, probably not the show for you. All right, let's continue.
So is that like how crypto's not because that's what we're wondering too, is when's that going to get regulated? When it's because I could post right now and be like, I just bought this.
Yeah, well, you think you can, but you think you can.
But that's going to be
will tell that to the judge when he's sentencing you.
Right.
Here's the point. I mean,
but people are doing that all the time now. All these influencers, right?
There's going to be some serious fucking hell to pay for that.
Right.
If they think there's some people out there. Here's the way it works. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind forward. They do, right? If you're an influencer and you went out there and you promoted a shit coin and you were selling while everyone else was buying, you're probably not going to go to jail if you did it once. But if you're making it your mission that every month it's a new promotion, you are going to jail. They don't realize it. The paper trail does not go away. Mm-hmm. And the statute of limitations is probably 5 years. But there's also something called continued frauds, which means if you keep doing the same thing, they can roll everything back to the last transaction that you did. So if you're still trading crypto and you manipulated or sold and did some fraud back 8 years ago, there's no statute of limitations. So what happens is, I think what people don't understand is that there's no SEC right now regulating it. But that's a bad thing for people. You know why? Because the SEC is a civil authority. They don't throw people in jail. If there's no SEC, that leaves only the U.S. attorney. They're the ones that will get involved. And when they get involved, you go to jail, right? So people are being lulled into a false sense of confidence saying, oh, it's not regulated. Fraud is fraud. Fraud is never legal. You can't be telling people to buy shit while you're selling it.
We got so many offers to be.
All right, I think you guys get it. I think that's enough of that. We got many stories to share. But so the point there is that the history is never going to go away. And it's going to come back and bite you in the butt one day or another. So for everybody who has seen people doing this, and a ton of huge YouTube accounts that do this on a constant basis, sometimes they're doing 1 a month, 2 a month, 3 a month, there will be a serious reckoning. And literally, if it's going to take that guy to tell you, to convince you, you got bigger problems. But I agree with them to the standpoint that they're gonna figure out their way in if they want to get you. And the part that I cut out, because I didn't listen to the whole podcast, but the part after that they started talking about is who are they going to get first? And they're going to get the biggest guys that did it the most, right? So they can create the biggest example. And I remember this back in, let's call it our heyday, right? 2017. Yeah. That wasn't our heyday. That was just the beginning, really. We were kind of.
That was that's when we were paying what I like to call tuition to the world of Hex and the cryptos, or not Hex, sorry, the world of the crypto space and what to do and what not to do. That was our schooling period. We lost
we paid heavily.
We did. Absolutely, we did. And we learned a lot, and we pivoted, and we went a different direction. So
100%. And so with a lot of those projects, I'm thinking back, I don't know if you guys have been following up on it, but they actually finally got Glenn Arcaro, who's the big guy, one of the bigger guys in BitConnect. I talked about this pretty openly after that whole thing fell apart. That guy got away with 2,000 or 3,000 Bitcoin. I'm pretty sure he's going to get nailed for at least 24 million, which if you do the math in your head, it's about 40 million that he got away with of other people's money. He admitted to lying, but so here's the tie into what he's talking about. Here's where this is truthful. The SEC didn't go and pick up Glenn. Okay, this guy was running around the entire planet. This guy was running from Asia to Europe to back to America, from what I was hearing. Who got him was the DOJ and the FBI. And those two agencies were actually fighting over this guy on who wanted him first. And I'm pretty sure he got actually processed and pled guilty to the FBI because he didn't want the DOJ charges, because those were way worse, and they always will be. The FBI has turned into a pretty light-handed, criminal charge cases up against, in comparison to the DOJ. And so he was trying to save himself from getting the DOJ, but he still, understand that, and pleading guilty to this, he could still be open to that, any any,
legal ramifications.
Any ramifications there as well. So anyways, I'm not.
Why is nobody else in the crypto space talking about these? These are newsworthy events. Glenn Arcaro got picked up, and nobody's talking. It's because half the guys that are big now promoted BitConnect themselves. They deleted the videos as if that was just going to make it all go away, and they don't want to bring it up again.
Yeah, or I remember in the beginning, a lot more people were covering it, and Glenn had a really, really good attorney, and he was sending cease and desist to everybody and basically shutting them up.
Okay.
So, like, if you mentioned,
he's got a lot of money to be able to afford a good attorney.
yeah. If you're saying his name specifically, then in the beginning he was doing that, but I don't think that's the case now. And by the sounds of it, it looks like maybe he just got sick of running. That can wear on you too. Like, everyone thinks that they're going to be able to run forever, but you can't. And as a world traveler who originally started traveling the world because I was trying to run away from myself, I can tell you that you will never outrun yourself, and you will never outrun your problems. I can tell you that definitively. So at some point, they will catch up to you, right? And you just need to go back home. So anyways, enough about that. Let's jump into another very, very newsworthy story in this same vein, which is the fact that, a lot of people thinking like, oh, hey, they can't touch me. This doesn't apply to me. I don't like that mindset in crypto. There's too many people with that mindset. There's both ends of the victim woe is me mindset. There's the little old me, I can't do anything. And then there's they're never going to touch this. They're never going to get me. Well, anyone that's been involved in the online gambling casino world, let's call it, that remembers back to the 2011, 2012 days, it's never been the same ever since. As soon as they came in and made the changes, nobody stepped up, nobody stood up. Everyone just was in there to ransack that niche, to ransack that market. They all made their money and tried to run. Most of them got pinched and caught, ratted each other out. There was no money left to fight the real battle that needed to happen, which was the regulation and the changes that they were trying to push and force. So crypto's got to do this differently, or they're going to have the same fate as online gambling. And let me ask you, when's the last time you heard about a buddy who won big on online gambling, or even logged into an online gambling? I don't know of any.
Not for years have I heard any.
For years.
Yeah. Yep.
So anyways, okay, here we are.
We have some resident gamblers in the house in the chat right now that are in the Hex community that are, yes, and some of them, hopefully all of them, are reformed gamblers now that they have started following Richard Hart and found the most passive wealth generating machine on the planet, Hex.
Yeah, we'll talk more about that too, and I hope they are. Hex is kind of, as a trader, made me a little bit lazy. We'll talk about that maybe on this stream or maybe on the next one. And I'm sure that's a pretty common thing, actually. But when you're making like really fat, consistent gains, and not being like a super big whale to where like you can do that by being a market maker, when you can find that being just like little old me somewhere else, I get now why market makers get lazy. I get now why, those guys are completely fine with just the little slice of pie that they found and that they get, because the gains that they get off of that are absolutely ridiculous. But we'll come back to that maybe on this stream or another one. This is really just to shake off the cobwebs, because I haven't streamed in 2 years. And so I was actually quite nervous before we started. So anyways, FBI says that they seized 800 boxes in basically safety deposit boxes in a bank. So this is very interesting, because read this sentence right here. The FBI was wrong. When Ruiz produced records showing the source of his money was legitimate, the government dropped its false accusation and returned his money. Ruiz was one of roughly 800 people whose money and valuables the FBI seized from safety deposit boxes they rented in this U.S. private vaults store in a strip mall in Olympic Boulevard. So federal agents had suspected for years that criminals were stashing loot there, and they assert that's exactly what they found. The government is trying to confiscate $86 million in cash. jewelry, rare coins, and of course, precious metals taken from about half of the boxes. But 6 months after the raid, the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Los Angeles have produced no evidence of criminal wrongdoing. So this kind of goes back to one of the core ethos of crypto in itself, is that it's not your keys, not your money, right? Yep. And I actually got this story off of Jess Powell, which quick shout out to two people you should probably be following in the space that I notice are getting really, really aggressive. I think Richard Hart is a great follow too, by the way. Brian Armstrong, who's the CEO of Coinbase, and this guy, Jess Powell, who is the co-founder of Kraken. He fell off my radar. I actually think Twitter just like removed him from my follower list or something. But he popped back up, and yeah, he basically talks about a lot of the same stuff that I get down with, that we're going to be talking about on these shows, etc. And then Brian, of course, I don't know if you guys have been following along. We've covered it pretty extensively in the last couple of videos on the channel, but they were going to release a lend product. And the issue with the lend product is a couple different things. Is one, they didn't really tell them where the money was going to go that they were like lending up. Two, it's got a dynamic APY like most of these products do. Celsius, BlockFi offer similar, which they're both going through equally troubling issues of their own. Is they didn't tell them where the funds were going, and the API was like this kind of variable APY, and those are like the two real big things. But also too, because how the lending was going to create its profit, which I don't quite remember offhand, is the big reason why that this was creating such a scuff. But anyways, the stance right now from Gary Gensler is that come on by, have a talk with us. Let's sit on down, show up in person, of course, bring your ID, and make sure you bring your passport too. Dox yourself first, and then come on down. We're going to sit and have a little chat, and then we'll make sure that we figure out where to put you and place you. Yeah. That's basically what his ongoing narrative is. But the problem with that is that Coinbase did that with their lend product, and they were still served with the cease and desist, and they basically snowballed or mothballed the entire project and got it on the back burner. But the good news that's come out of this, I wish they would have taken at the lawsuit. I'm not the only one. There's a lot of big people that stepped up and said, hey, you probably should have let this go to court because it would have won. But I don't know if he shared it on his own wall yet.
The most disappointing part of this story is, Brian Armstrong, you had the chance to be the hero of crypto, to put in a precedent in legal law that the SEC is overstepping their bounds. And this could have helped everybody going forward. And so that's the most disappointing point to me, is that he really dropped the ball. Like, they need to take this to the next level. They need to take it legally. And we've discussed legal action and political action are where we would like to see on Discord Syndicate, where we'd like to see our community, now that we've got the gains and money's not an issue any longer.
And that's what everyone really should be focused on. And again, I have to reiterate this at least a couple thousand times, but none of this is meant to be political. No, like, I hate politics.
Yeah, me too.
If I gotta get dragged into it, you're gonna pull me in it. I'm gonna get in it, and I'm gonna go full blast, right? Because if it's worth doing, it's worth doing right. And if this is where the battle is, then this is where we gotta go. And this is us, meaning like collectively, this $2 trillion market cap called cryptocurrencies that was a joke, that got no outside help, that got no help from the government. It's got no bailouts from the government. The banks have gotten 2 bailouts since the COOF started, which I got to call it something different because otherwise they'll block us here on YouTube. Yeah. But most people don't know this, is that the first bailout was the term repo market bailout that actually started on September 19th. I write a macroeconomic newsletter, and we were one of the ones to break this news, is that the repo markets went nuts all of a sudden. And that was the first bailout that started. And they've been feeding that machine billions of dollars now for the last 2 years now. We just crossed over the 2-year mark. So when you're bailing out the secondary markets like that for a consistent 2 years, what they're about to do to the public and the pennies that they've given out to the American people means nothing, because they've already shelled out so much more out the back door. But I agree with you in the standpoint that what I don't like in crypto is that there is, first off, we got false idols. So we've got like this false idol syndrome that occurs. And it happened with, who's the first one I saw happen with? Arthur Hayes, BitMEX. I don't know if you guys had the opportunity of losing all your money like I did on BitMEX, over leveraging.
I have definitely lost some money on that platform.
Yeah, getting the old liquidation email is not a lot of fun when you're learning how to trade. And so Arthur, for the longest time, was the crypto hero, man. He was the crypto hero that could do no wrong. And then when the pressure started coming on and they said that they're going to go after him, quite quickly, not only did the exchange roll up and say KYC tomorrow for everybody, and you're done. And basically 90% of their volume went away after this. But he kind of went on the run and then decided to turn himself in. And so he's going to go to jail now. Because they did do some shady stuff, let's be honest. They are single-handedly responsible. I don't know if you guys know this, for the, which dump was it? I think it was the, I don't want to mix it up. There was the March dump from the Coof, but the one that was before that, the big one that happened to the $3,000
the plus coin Ponzi dump.
Yeah,
took us down to $3,700 for Bitcoin. Yes,
so the $3,700 dip was partially caused from the liquidation engine on BitMEX, and most people don't really know that or want to admit that. And so what started happening was, because how it operates, it's an algorithmic driven thing, is it just kept cascading liquidations. And you could see that. You could go back to the price chart, look at it like a 10 to 30 minute chart, and you would see the cascading happening over that, I don't know, 16-hour period. And like, talk about like getting wrecked. How many people are still completely out of crypto, hate crypto, will never do crypto again, never look at crypto again, don't talk to me about it, I lost my whole life savings in it, right? And you're not much better off in the stock market, let's just be real. But my point is that, so that was our hero, right? But then CZ came along and he said, hey, I'm going to do it different. And then CZ was the hero, which he's obviously, they're lining him up to be the next guy to fall. And I know a lot of naive people that do not want to believe this.
That's a guy that was digging his own grave before he even knew he was digging his own grave, though.
True.
So the shady stuff that guy's done in this space. Anyway.
Oh, 100%. They actually stopped publishing liquidation data, by the way, because they said that it wasn't important anymore. And this was right after, this was like I think a couple days after Binance had the largest liquidation event from a big dump ever out of any exchange. And I don't remember the amount, but it was such a monstrosity of an amount because of all the scam wicks that occur, just like on BitMEX, similar to BitMEX, that occur on Binance. And it wiped out so many people that they just stopped publishing it publicly because they said it wasn't important anymore. So he was the hero, right? And he's on his way out. So Sam Altman, the guy who runs FTX and Alameda Research, he's the new hero. Maybe we'll revisit him in the future. But we've got this like weird hero syndrome issue in crypto, and we need to kind of stop that. When you make enough money, generational wealth, you can retire yourself, you can retire, your family, the next 3 generations, like you're the hero. And so the storyline here is not to look to anyone else to be the hero. Everyone wants to be the hero of their own story anyways. So let's start doing that. And you can do that by voting with your money in many different ways, and voting with your attention in many different ways, by getting behind these different movements and getting behind these things that are actually going to go out there and make a difference. So yeah, it's disappointing that Armstrong didn't pull through. But I mean, let's not expect that we're going to have Superman here. He's just a regular guy. They're trying to make money too. They've got a pretty good product. Let's not lie about that. Coinbase is a great product, I would argue. For the area and the jurisdiction that they're in, I think it's a great product. Let me clarify that. Internationally, probably not. But domestically in the US, for which you guys have to deal with regulation and whatnot, I think it's a great product. And so anyways, their next move forward is they've come up with their own compliance. And they're trying to push that the SEC, the DOJ, and all these 3-letter agencies should just stay out of it. And let's create this framework together. Let's create some councils, some boards, whatever, got to get done, and kind of self-police a little bit more. Because crypto space in general is pretty good at self-policing.
Well, and you've done this. Well, I know our community, the Hex community, is extremely good at this. We will banish and ghost those that hurt literally long-term the project. And some of them I've seen over the last year and a half die off into obscurity. But as a whole, you've been saying this since 2017. We need to be the ones, as part of your community, I know firsthand, that we need to be the ones that start creating this infrastructure and the self-regulation before the government steps in and decides they're going to do it on our behalf. And then to your point you just made, if they're going to be making rules about this space called crypto, and while they're doing that, we would be foolish to not be sitting at the table helping them dictate how this is going to go.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And so in the last video, we actually uploaded the one of the main pieces that I bring up is the fact that Gary Gensler is trying to change semantics. He's trying to change the syntax, the language, the words, and he's trying to change the definition of stablecoins for stable value coins. The minute that they change it to stable value coins, they can now say it's pinned, it's pegged to a currency, which now we can control. Because simultaneously, they're going to Congress, they're going to the government to essentially try and get more power, more reach, right? And so this is going to happen simultaneously. And when they can redefine, I got a dog. It's late here, by the way. That's why I got kind of dark vibes going.
Yeah.
It's about midnight here. So
yeah, you're on the other end of the world.
Yeah, when they simultaneously do this, that's the thing you got to worry about. That's what if I'm scared about something, I'm scared about when they go out and try and redefine these words, and then what they're going to try and use that for. Because then
that's
they
the
can
thing that scares me that you brought to my attention in a personal conversation we had is we have these definitions of what a security is, the Howey test, but it seems like they're changing their vocabulary to mean how they want it to mean. So that all of a sudden the definition of words is changing.
And we've seen this happen now over the last couple of years. We won't get too into it, but I mean, if they can change the fundamental definition of genders, and they can start saying that whatever, guys can get pregnant and shit like this, then you better believe that they're going to change the definition of stable and stable coin and how to interpret the Howey test, because then they can just say, yep, it falls into this because of this, it falls into this because of this, and everyone will get nicked. DeFi will get hit the hardest. And what's laughable about that is, like, you think your 13-year-old who's anonymous, who shit posts all day long from a Twitter account that hasn't doxed himself but sits on a DAO of a multi-billion-dollar company, multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency project, you don't think he's shitting his pants right now? Oh, he 100% like called up Daddy, aka the other guys on the DAO, and said, hey, should we be worried about this? When the SEC showed up at the Masari event, the 2020 event, and subpoenaed somebody in person, which I told you when I first heard about this, that's like, to me, that's the same as somebody busting through my front door right now and taking a shit in my living room. That's the same. Same.
Yep.
Same difference. Same. And so you have that happen. I mean, it's slow and then it's all at once. And so these are the things that we need to be paying attention to. And so we need to be talking through these things. We need to be, we need to all be on the same page of like these links and these stories and these bills. Speaking of bills, let me stop sharing and then share it up again. I got another piece that I'd like to share with you guys really quick. All right, basically Coin Center is covering, a lot of people have covered now the infrastructure bill. So the infrastructure bill is something that you saw, what is the chick from Wyoming? She's got the short hair. She's very involved in crypto. I think.
Oh gosh, I just had her name yesterday. Someone was showing me.
Katie something. She was involved in this. Everyone was involved in this, tweeting this out, basically saying like, hey guys, in the multi-$1,000 page bill, which starts off as like 2 bullet point paragraphs and somehow gets stretched into like 3, 4, 5,000 pages so that nobody ever reads it. And inside of that, deep down inside, Caitlin Long, there it is. Thank you. And deep down inside of that was some very interesting things that would be very bad for crypto. And so that's been talked about. And I'm glad that this stuff is getting attention. And so it's getting attention on many different levels, right? Like you have everyone from like the Anon accounts on Twitter and social media that shit post and just kind of like talk trash about it a little bit. That proves that they're aware of it. So they're like trying to make fun of it, but deep down inside they're like, oh man, dude, they're thinking about this.
Fear it.
Yeah, they're worried about it. And that's kind of like
that's the first step of adoption. Is first they make fun of you, and then they get scared of you, then they ghost you, and then they adopt you.
Correct. And so it's not about, I don't think at this point it's about like you're gonna like beat them and they're just gonna go away. No. It's about sitting at the table where they think it's just them and they're wearing the suits and they think that they're making up like this great bill that's going to mostly benefit them, which, I mean, in the last video, I also covered the fact that Gary Gensler's worth over $100 million. Senator Elizabeth Warren is also worth in the tens of millions of dollars. How are they getting this in a public office role where their pay and their wages are very, very bad? So if this is the case, and we all know that lobbying is such a big deal and basically everyone's bought and paid for, just raise the rates, man. Just give them all $1 million a year if that's what they want.
Yeah.
You know, come off with a fat house and $1 million a year, but they're not going to be so stupid. They're not going to be, you know, they're not going to be so short-sighted and selfish. You know, we need less selfishness in there. So anyways, the point of this is not to end this in any sort of way. It's to get people at the table that are going to come with a very grounded approach and a unbiased approach, I think is the more important word there. So we've got this news piece. What else did I have here? Jameson Loop started putting together an entire site. He covered it here, and then I'll show you a site that he launched. Basically, congressional senators, representatives, etc., that he's been able to dig through 13F filings and other filings that they were required to post to find out who's holding Bitcoin, essentially. And he created this site, bitcoinpoliticians.org, if you want to go check it out. And basically, these are all people who have disclosed that they are holding or not holding Bitcoin. So we would just come here and filter this bad boy by, do we got yeses? Oh no, we got a bunch of question marks. Oh no, we got question marks and no's. Okay, well, this didn't work out as expected. I did not look at this in advance. I did not look at this in advance. I was hoping that this is going to be simple. I don't know. Maybe he's still aggregating data. But I assume at some point there's going to be yeses here, and that's going to be really, really good. Okay, disclosure in 2020. So yeah, anyways, ideally, you would find the people that said, yes, we are disclosing that, and we're holding it, and those would be the type of people that, at a basic sense, you would get behind, right? So even the little old guy over here with his small stack could get behind these people in some sort of way. They could go to their events and just give them support. They could vote for them the next time. They could go and show up and donate their time and help with their next rally. If they know, you know, a videographer that could help out in some sort of way, or some asset that could help this person in some sort of way, they could go to help get them more press. They could help maybe bring them onto a show like this, and we could talk to them, right? So like there's a lot of simple ways that are outside of money that you could also help in this, in what we're up against, man. And so like the reason why I wanted to bring this channel back, and the reason why I want people like KNTX on this show all the time, is because like we're fighting for something that we all agreed upon when we got into it, that was supposed to be life-changing. It was supposed to, you know, be cyberpunkish in the sense that it's going against the system.
Sovereignty of money.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about sovereignty on all my channels, all the stuff that I got.
You actually are the community that got me to go down the rabbit hole of self-sovereignty, not just in your finances, but in your geographic location, passports, citizenships, and the whole gamut that runs. And it's really eye-opening once you start looking into all of those things. It is, and it's really, really eye-opening when you've never traveled outside the U.S. and you have no clue what the world is like outside of the U.S. It's very eye-opening. So yeah, and really that's what I thought we were talking about and doing with this, right? There's a way for this to all be integrated together in a way that benefits people. Now, you know as well as I do that the politicians and the three-letter agencies, when they see something that's high yield, and this is also a warning, and I hope you don't take this as FUD, but this is a warning to projects like Hex, is that, look, they're not going to show up and just say, hey, you guys created this amazing project. It's gone up how many thousands of X. You've got probably the most amount of people that I know of that's gotten rich off Hex. I got to say that much. I don't know of another project that's created more diversified wealth. I know of a lot of projects that create centralized wealth. And even looking back at something like BitConnect, I know of like 5 people who got rich off of that. And I know of about maybe 10,000 people who lost everything off of that. So, I mean, very big difference, right? But yeah, so I don't know where I was going with that point. I actually completely lost train of thought. I think I'm getting tired finally. But yeah, so anyway. Well, we've been very fortunate. A lot of us, it was funny. It was either the really smart and the degenerate gamblers that really figured out Hex early on. It was, and it seems like if you're smart, but you're not extremely smart, or if you're like specialized smart, I should say that. If you have a specialization, especially in coding and stuff, those guys just didn't get it. But the rest of us were either like, oh my God, this makes sense. This is it's a replicated product for what's already exists in the real world and what already works. Yeah. And the degenerate gamblers, I think it was brilliant that Richard Hart actually did his marketing in a way that he was trying to rob economic energy from scams by promoting it like it was one, because I think that gets a lot of people in. It caught a lot of ire from those who had bags that weren't Hex that just wanted to hate on it because it was outperforming their bags and they wanted their bags to pump so they could dump on your heads, mostly 100%. The influencers. And we're past all that now. We've won.
Oh yeah, I remember my point now. Gosh, this is what happens when I get tired, y'all. Is my brain gets these big gaps. It's just how it works, I guess. Is yeah, it's like I got a warning. Is like they're not going to show up and just say, hey, you guys created something magnificent here. Can we be involved? They're going to show up with a subpoena. That's how they take down the biggest and the best. Is they will show up with a subpoena. So just be ready. Like that's it. Like don't get upset with that, right? Because it's a future potential reality that could occur that you might not like, and just because you don't like it doesn't mean it can't happen. And so like just be prepared for that, right? And I think you guys are doing a great job so far with how you're shoring yourself up. And I'll tell you what, like in this game, it's a game of money, right? And it's about, unfortunately, it's about payoffs and it's about all this stuff. And when you get outside the US and you live, especially like in Asia, you really start to realize like, wow, you got to grease some serious wheels and you can pretty much get anything done. But that's how it works, you know, and it does work that way within the US, whether people want to admit it or not, is it works that way, just a little bit more structured, a little bit more posh. And, you know, there's laws and rules around what you can and can't do and how much you can and can't give and all that. But yeah, I do think that they're going to come in hard now. I think that's what's going to happen. And if we're talking about like, let's get into, I guess, maybe a couple minutes of price prediction, I'll talk about that is, there's like two scenarios that I see with like what's going to happen next. Is it going to be a bear market or a bull market? And it's really going to depend on how hard they come down with any sort of legislation or regulation within the US. Like that, because that'd be the only real piece of FUD you haven't gotten. And if that piece of FUD drops, I got a feeling that was it. And these are just lower highs that we're making, and it's going down to wherever it goes down. And it's time to like chill out, stop trying to push the trading, stop trying to push the gains and like make up or like make more money because you want to get more rich quicker. It's time to like chill, take some gains out, pay some capital gains tax or whatever you got to do, set up some second residencies and some passports, whatever you're going to do, right? And maybe it's time to do that. But if it does, you know, if it does start showing strength and this whole conversation around regulation kind of like dies out, right? Because what else is going to really affect you? The price would have a clear shot, you know, 56, 75, whatever you want to start looking at lines on a chart. From a technical standpoint, who cares? It'd be pretty clear sailing from there because there's not much more that China can do to create FUD. They've already done it. They're like getting rid of banning.
And it gets less and less effective.
It does.
The volatility of China FUD is less and less effective every time.
Yeah, they're getting rid of mining almost completely, I think. And China's got some serious issues, by the way. The Evergrande construction company that's about to default, they saved themselves this week from defaulting. They might have defaulted as soon as Tuesday. A Fortune 500 company that has over 1 million homes was about to default, and China is apparently not going to bail them out. The government is not going to bail them out. So China's got much bigger problems than Bitcoin mining. But that being said, yeah, I mean, that's what I see happening. And so if you want to stay glued to the charts all day long, great. And if you don't, you just want to sit back and kind of watch how things unfold, just understand that my prediction is basically if regulation comes in and this conversation just keeps going and going and going and they drop something big, like the infrastructure bill, then that was it. And I think that was the top. And if not, and they kind of cool off and, you know, maybe Coinbase wins and we continue this back and forth, but at a much calmer pace, then I think it'll be fine. So
anyway, I agree, man.
That's kind of my stance on it, but we're 38 minutes in. I was thinking somewhere around 30, 40 minutes for this first one. I got to break myself back in here.
I thought it'd be important that we come on and we talk together. We obviously, there's a lot of similarities with the Hex community, with your background and the same way of thinking. And I think there's an opportunity here for collaboration going forward. And so I appreciate you inviting me on the show today.
Yeah, it's great. And we got to have you back because there's a ton of other stuff we got to talk about. But yeah, it's great having you on, especially for the first one. I think I would have probably been a wreck without somebody here to chit chat with, which is kind of funny because I'm not really the type to get like that. But you pulled me away from doing live streams for a couple of years. And yeah, that's what happens. So, all right. Thank you so much for jumping on with me. KNTX, drop your social media in case anyone wants to follow you and they don't already know where to find you.
So we are the Discourse Syndicate channel on YouTube. So you can find us Discourse Syndicate. It's a pretty simple find on a Google or a YouTube search. And I'm also at The Real Kinetics on Twitter and at The Real Kinetics on Telegram if you need to DM me. So.
Perfect. And you know us, Crypto Junkies, this is the new angle. This is the new, I guess you could say, mission that we have embarked on. And we hope you join us. Yes, we hope you join us. And subscribe if you're not already. If you have subscribed, just double check. Make sure that you got the bell notification turned to all so that you don't miss out on any uploads. Go check out the last upload too. It's got Gary Gensler and the photo of the guy from The Simpsons. They basically look identical. I don't know. It must just be a coincidence or maybe the angle of the photo. But go check out that last video. It got like no views.
Mr. Burns, yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Burns. It should have like 1 million views. I'm sure you agree with me after you've watched it. Go check it out. And yeah, we'll catch you again on the stream real soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Have a good one.
Yeah, see you guys.